The snow was falling hard on planet Lyra. The sky was dark, and the cold wind howled through the trees like a warning. Ethan pulled his jacket tighter and checked his scanner again. A weak signal blinked on the small screen. It wasn't human. It wasn't even official. It was a broken, hidden distress call. Ethan was a human engineer working at an outpost nearby. He had come to Lyra to repair old satellites, not to search for trouble. But when he heard the strange signal, something inside him told him to follow it. He walked deeper into the frozen forest, boots sinking into the thick snow. Each step was heavy, but he didn't stop. The signal grew stronger. Then he saw something. At the base of a snow-covered hill, a small crashed pod was half buried. Smoke rose slowly from its side. Ethan rushed down the slope. The pod's door was open, and inside was a figure curled up, bleeding, and barely moving. It was an alien woman. She had silver-blue skin and long, dark hair braided with glowing threads. Her armor was cracked. Her body was shaking, and next to her was a sword. It wasn't an ordinary sword. It was long, silver, and marked with glowing symbols. It pulsed like it was alive. Suddenly, loud clicking sounds came from the trees. Ethan looked up and saw 3 spider-like hunter drones approaching. Their red eyes locked onto the injured woman. Without thinking, Ethan grabbed the sword. The moment his hand touched the handle, a bright blue light shot out from the blade. It wrapped around his arm like lightning. The sword felt warm in his hand, like it knew him. The drones charged. Ethan didn't know how to fight. He wasn't a soldier. But somehow, the sword moved with him. It helped him block, dodge, and strike. The drones were fast, but the sword was faster. In a blur of sparks and screams, the fight was over. Ethan dropped to his knees, breathing hard. The last drone sparked and fell beside him. Snowflakes melted on his face as he turned to the woman. She was watching him with wide eyes. "You touched the blade," she whispered, her voice weak but clear. "I didn't mean to," Ethan said. I wanted to protect you." Her eyes filled with something between fear and awe. "You are human, and the sword chose you." Helped her sit up. "Are you okay? What's your name?" She looked at the glowing sword in his hand, then back at him. "My name is Kailari," she said slowly. "And if you truly don't know, then listen carefully." Ethan blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" "That sword," she said, pointing at it, "belongs to my clan. Only one who is accepted by the blade may wield it. You touched it, and it came alive for you." He looked down at the weapon. It still glowed in his hand. Kailari's voice was quiet but serious. "By the law of my people, you are now my husband." Silence. Ethan blinked. "Wait, what?" Kailari winced in pain, then gave him a weak smile. "You saved me. You used the sacred sword. There's no going back now." Ethan stared at her, speechless. The wind blew around them, cold and strong. But he didn't feel it anymore. All he could hear was the strange hum of the sword, and Kailari's words echoing in his mind. "Husband?" Ethan built a small fire beside the wrecked pod. The flames crackled softly, casting a warm glow across the snow. Kailari sat close, her arms wrapped around herself. Breathing was slow, but she was stronger now. Ethan gave her a blanket from his emergency pack. The sword lay between them. Glowing faintly in the firelight, he stared at it again. "So, what just happened?" he asked. "I pick up your sword, and suddenly I'm married." Kailari looked at him carefully. "It's not just a sword. It's the blade of Kar, the sole weapon of my clan. It only responds to someone the blade accepts. In our culture, that means a bond, a sacred one." "You mean a wedding?" Ethan asked, still trying to believe it. "Yes," she said calmly. "Though it is not a human wedding. To us, the one who awakens the blade is the life mate. And now, that is you." Ethan laughed nervously. "I didn't sign up for this." Kailari tilted her head. "Neither did I. But the bond has been made. It cannot be undone." He stood up and walked a few steps away, thinking. The trees whispered. In the wind, the cold air bit at his skin. He had come here to fix satellites, not to accidentally propose to an alien warrior. Kailari's voice broke the silence. Do not be afraid. I will not force you. Ethan turned back to her. Then why not take the sword back? Let's pretend this didn't happen. She shook her head. I cannot even lift it now. Once the sword chooses a hand it belongs to, that hand, and to the heart behind it. Ethan looked at the blade. It was peaceful now, like it was waiting. He sat beside her again, his voice quiet. Why were those machines chasing you? Kailari's expression darkened. They were sent by the Cathari, a rival clan. They've been trying to wipe out my people for years. I was on a mission when my ship was shot down. I sent a silent distress signal, hoping someone, anyone, would come, then nodded slowly. You're lucky I picked it up. No, she said. You were not just the one who heard the signal. You were the one the blade called to. Ethan didn't know what to say. The more he listened, the stranger everything felt. But one thing was clear. This wasn't just a rescue. It was something much bigger. Suddenly Kailari looked up at the night sky. Her eyes widened. They're coming. What? Ethan asked, grabbing the sword again. Kailari pointed to the sky. Bright lights appeared through the falling snow, 3 ships moving fast. They weren't Cathari. They were shaped like sharp wings, painted in silver and red. My clan, Kailari whispered. They found me. The ships landed softly. Nearby, dozens of armored warriors stepped out, their faces hidden behind dark helmets, one of them taller than the rest. With golden armor, walked forward and looked at Kailari. Princess Kailari, he said in a deep voice. You are safe. Then his eyes shifted to Ethan and, the sword in his hand, everything went silent. You, the warrior growled. You hold the blade of Kar? Ethan took a step back. Yes. The warrior dropped to one knee. Others followed. All hailed the chosen mate, he said. The sword has spoken. The bond is made. Ethan stared at Kailari in shock. Princess? You're a princess? Kailari gave him a small, sad smile. I was going to tell you. But now, everything has changed. From behind the warriors, another figure stepped forward. He removed his helmet, revealing sharp eyes and a scar across his face. I do not accept this, the man said coldly. That human cannot be her mate. The blade made a mistake. Kailari's face turned pale. Tehran. Ethan gripped the sword tighter. Who is that? He asked. Kailari stood slowly. He was once my protector, and now he wants to take everything back. The fire crackled between them. Tehran's voice was like ice. If he truly is your mate, let him prove. It let him face me in a duel. Snowstorm winds blew across the landing site, but the warriors of Kailari's clan stood still like statues. Their armor shimmered with ancient marks of honor. Their eyes never left Athenes, especially the tall man with the scar. Tehran. Ethan didn't. Like the way he looked at him, it was the look of a hunter who didn't think his prey deserved to live. Kailari stood between them. Her voice was steady. Tehran, he saved my life. Tehran replied without looking at her. A human? With no training? With no honor? You expect us to bow to this outsider? One of the elders stepped forward, his eyes sharp and cold. The blade of Kar chose him. That is law. But law can be challenged, Tehran snapped. Let him prove his worth. Ethan looked at Kailari, confused. What is he talking about? Kailari didn't answer right away. She looked tired, torn. Then she spoke softly. He is demanding. A trial of strength. It's old tradition. If he wins, he can challenge your claim to the sword. And to me, Ethan blinked. Wait, so if I lose, he gets the sword. And you? Kailari nodded slowly. Yes, that's our law. Ethan wanted to laugh. This had to be a joke. Just 2 days ago, he was fixing broken antennas on top of frozen mountains. Now, he was supposed to fight a trained alien warrior for the right to stay married to a princess. He looked at the sword. It lay across his lap, quiet and still. The elder raised a hand. The trial will begin tomorrow, at dawn. That night, the clan camped in the snow valley. Fires burned in metal, Braziers, tents shaped like tall triangles, glowed softly. Ethan sat alone near a small fire, sharpening his thoughts instead of weapons. He wasn't a fighter. He had never been in a real fight, not even back on Earth. The last time he threw a punch was in high school, and he missed now, he was supposed. To fight a warrior who had trained since childhood, who had scars from real wars, who wanted Kyler not for love but for power. Kyler not sat beside him. I can call this off. I'll say you are not ready. Ethan shook his head. That will only make me look weaker. She looked into the fire. You are not weak. The sword chose you. It means something. Maybe the sword made a mistake, he muttered. No. She turned to him. It chose your heart, not your muscles. He smiled faintly. Oh, my heart better hit hard then. She stood and unwrapped a thin cloth. Inside was a small glowing stone. This is a memory core. Can teach you what your mind allows. He frowned. Teach me what? She looked serious. How to fight with the blade. As the memory stone touched Ethan's forehead, his mind, filled with flashes, visions of warriors spinning, striking, defending, not just with strength, but with rhythm, like a dance made of survival. The sword was more than metal. It was alive, flowing like water, cutting like wind. He gasped and dropped the stone. His body shook. Kylari touched his arm. That was only a glimpse. The rest must come from you. He looked at her. Something different in his eyes now. I'll try. Dawn came like a blade of gold through the icy clouds. The clan gathered in a circle on the snow. No sound, no wind, just silence. God. Tehran stood bare-chested, muscles tense, eyes burning. Ethan stepped forward, sword in hand. His heart pounded like thunder, but he didn't run. The elder raised his hand. Begin. Tehran rushed like lightning. Ethan barely blocked the first strike. The sword guided him again, but this time it felt different. Faster, smarter. Each blow pushed Ethan back. Each time he returned stronger, more balanced, more focused. The clan watched in silence, stunned. Tehran growled. You don't belong. Here, human, Ethan replied, voice calm, sword steady. Neither does hate. He twisted, flipped the sword, and landed a clean hit to Tehran's side. Not deep, but enough. Tehran fell to one knee, breathing hard. The elder stood. The trial is over. The human is victor. The bond remains. Kylari ran to Ethan and held his hand. The crowd bowed, but Tehran's eyes were not done burning. Far. Beyond the valley, in the deep skies above, a dark ship waited. Watching, Ethan's arms ached. His chest rose and fell like heavy drums. The trial was over, but his body still remembered every strike, every dodge. He had survived. He had won. But deep inside, he knew this wasn't the end. Kylari walked beside him in silence as they entered one of the larger clan shelters. A healer waited, brushing snow off Ethan's shoulders and checking his bruises. Kylari sat quietly. Eyes lowered, he finally asked, why didn't Tehran stop fighting? Even when he knew he would lose, Kylari didn't answer right away. Then, she said, because to him, this was never about me. It was about control. And you took it from him. Ethan looked down at the glowing sword still in his hand. This sword started everything. Kylari glanced at it. The blade of Kar has not awakened for anyone in over 2 generations. The last time was before my birth. Ethan frowned. Then why did it wake for me? Her eyes softened. Maybe it saw something in you. Something none of us could see yet. Later that night, a celebration was held in the honor tent. Music played softly, made of strange stringed instruments, and pulsing drums. Food was served: roasted roots, glowing fruits, and a warm drink that tasted like sweet fire. Clan members came to greet Ethan. Some nodded in respect. Others stared in silence. Tehran didn't appear. Kylari sat beside Ethan, dressed in ceremonial robes. Her face glowed in the firelight, but her eyes stayed distant. I should feel happy, she whispered. But I feel like something is coming. Ethan nodded. I feel it too. Before sunrise, a horn blasted from the outer ridge. Warriors grabbed weapons. Shouts echoed through the valley. Kailari stood, face pale. No, it's too soon. Ethan ran outside, lights in the sky, dozens of small ships falling like fire from the clouds. Turan stood at the edge of the cliff, his armor shining black. He turned slowly. I warned you, Turan said. Our traditions are broken. You let a human lead us now? The Cathari smell weakness? Kailari's voice shook. You sent a signal? You betrayed your own clan. Turan smiled. I gave them what they wanted, you. And the sword. Ethan stepped forward. You would sell your people for revenge? Turan raised his hand. No, for correction. The first wave hit fast. Explosions lit the cliffs. Cathari soldiers in red armor flooded the lower valley. Kalari led her people into battle. Ethan followed, the blade humming in his hand. He moved through fire and smoke, blocking, striking, saving. The sword no longer felt like a tool, it felt like a part of him. He found Kalari pinned by two Cathari soldiers. Without thinking, he dove in, slicing through one and pushing the other away. They stood back to back, breathless. She looked at him with something different in her eyes. Not just respect, something deeper. You fight like you were born among us, she whispered. He grinned. Maybe I was just waiting for the right reason. After the enemy was pushed back, the clan gathered their wounded. The sky was turning blue again, but no one cheered. The cost had been heavy. Turan was gone. Kailari stood before her people. The attack will not be the last. The Cathari know where we are. They will return with more. The elder stepped forward. Wait, then we must. Leave, hide, scatter. No, Ethan said suddenly. All eyes turned to him. He stepped up beside Kailari. You hide, you lose everything. You stand together, you have a chance. The elder frowned. You are not one of us. What? But I carry your sword, Ethan, said, and I bleed beside you. Kalari looked at her people. The blade chose him. That means something. Let him speak. Ethan raised the sword high. We fight. Not because we want war, but because we want peace. Silence fell then. One voice shouted for the blade. Another yelled for the clan. A roar followed. The warriors raised their weapons. The fire in their eyes had returned. Kailari looked at Ethan and whispered, You didn't just win the duel. You won their hearts. He smiled. I hope. The sword knows what it's doing, but far above the planet. A massive Cathari warship entered orbit. The real battle was only beginning. The night after the attack was silent. Too silent, Ethan sat alone beside a small fire in the outer ridge of the valley. Flames danced slowly, crackling over dry sticks.
Ow.
But his mind was not still. He kept staring at the sword in his hand, now quiet, almost heavy. It had saved him. Saved Kailari, saved her people. But something didn't feel right. He looked up at the stars. A shadow passed above them, too large to be a fighter ship. The Cathari mothership was in orbit. Watching, waiting, Kailari approached from the shadows. She sat beside him, her face lit by the fire. You're not sleeping either, she said softly. Not with a warship above our heads, Ethan replied. Kailari held out a small black cube. It glowed faintly. This came from the blade. Hidden memory crystal. Ethan raised an eyebrow. What's on it? She hesitated. Something forbidden. Something even our elders never told me. He touched the crystal. Images flashed. In his mind, a planet Earth. A war long ago. A team of human scientists, escaping destruction. They left something behind. Something powerful. They called it the last key. Then came the image of the sword. Floating, waiting, guarded by a warrior. A woman who looked very much like Kailari. Ethan gasped. That was Earth tech. But why was it with your people? Kailari nodded slowly. Because our ancestors were saved. By your ancestors, they promised to protect the last weapon, to keep it hidden. Even from you. Ethan stood, heart racing. You're telling me this sword is not just sacred, it's human-made? Yes, she said. And now the Cathari know that. That's why they want you. You're the key. The next morning, Kailari called a meeting in the council tent. The elders listened silently as she shared what she had seen. This human is not just my mate, she said. He carries the blood of those who built the sword. The ancient weapon is waking again. We must decide, will we protect him or send him away? The oldest elder, gray and blind, raised his voice. If the Cathari get him, they'll unlock every human relic still hidden in the galaxy. Another said, then we must hide him. Take him far from here. Ethan stood up. No, I won't run. Not again. Kailari touched his arm. They will keep coming. Stronger. Smarter. Then we hit them first, Ethan said. We give them something to fear. That night, Kailari took Ethan to an old cave deep in the cliffs. The entrance was covered with ice. But inside was warmth and history. Carvings on the walls showed scenes from the past, human ships landing, handing over technology to alien clans. A promise made in fire and blood. In the center of the cave stood a strange machine, half human, half alien. It was asleep, dusty, cold. Kailari whispered, "This is the forge of the blade, where the sword was first awakened." Ethan walked closer. As he stepped inside, the walls lit up. The machine hummed. Kailari gasped. "It responds to your DNA," she said. "The final lock is breaking." A voice echoed through the chamber comm. "Ancient, human." Identity confirmed. Weapon protocol initializing. Defender status granted. Ethan's eyes widened. "What does that mean?" Kailari's voice shook. "It means the sword was only the beginning." Suddenly, alarms blared from outside the cave. A warrior ran in. "They're here." Ethan grabbed the sword. Kailari stood beside him. "No more hiding," she said. "Time they learn what a real human weapon looks like." Asterisk explosions shook the valley. Ethan rushed out of the ancient cave, sword in hand. The sky above was full of fire. Dropships from the Cathari mothership were landing fast. Red lights flashed over the snow-covered cliffs. Kailari's people were already fighting. Energy blasts burned through the air. Warriors screamed. Metal clashed. It was chaos. But something was wrong. Too wrong. The Cathari weren't just attacking. They knew the layout of the valley. They struck the weakest points first. They avoided the hidden traps. It was as if someone had drawn them a map. Ethan's heart dropped. "This isn't a normal raid," he said. Kailari turned toward him, her eyes darkening. "No, this is precision," someone told them. That's when they heard the voice behind them. "I warned you both." Turan. He stepped from the shadows, holding a glowing beacon in his hand. Kailari's eyes widened. "You traitor." Turan smiled coldly. "You made your choice, princess. You chose a human. You threw away centuries of tradition." For him, Ethan stepped forward. "You gave the Cathari the location of the forge." Turan nodded. "Of course. They promised me the blade in Kailari's hand. Once you're gone." Kailari stared at him with pure fury. "You betrayed our people," Turan said. "You did when you let this outsider take what was meant for us." Suddenly, Cathari's soldiers stormed into the cave, weapons raised. Ethan grabbed Kailari's hand. They fought their way out, blades spinning, sparks flying. But there were too many. A blast hit Kailari in the back. She fell. "Kailari," Ethan shouted, dropping beside her. She was alive but bleeding. The soldiers grabbed her and the sword. Ethan was stunned by a shock baton and thrown back into the snow. Turan picked up the blade, smiling, but it didn't glow. It didn't respond. It remained cold in his hand. He growled and kicked Ethan's chest. "No matter. The Cathari will extract what they need from both of you." Hours passed. Ethan woke inside a metal cell. The walls were black and cold. A hum filled the air. He was aboard the Cathari mothership. He looked around. His hands were chained. His chest hurt. But his mind burned brighter than ever. They had taken Kailari. They had taken the blade, but they hadn't broken him. He remembered the voice from the forge. Weapon protocol initializing. Defender status granted? He looked down. A tiny red light blinked beneath his skin and his wrist. A hidden implant. The forge had given it to him suddenly. A voice spoke through the walls. You're not like the others. It was a woman Cathari. But with a softer tone, Ethan said nothing. You hold secrets, she continued. The blade, the forge. Earth's last key. He looked up. If you know what it is, you should be afraid. She laughed. Oh, we are. But fear is useful. It makes us careful. He leaned forward. And stupid if you ignore the warnings. Didn't respond. The light on Ethan's wrist turned green. He smiled. Back on the surface, Kalari woke inside a glass chamber. Energy shields held her still. Her people were gone. Captured or scattered. She closed her eyes, not in defeat. In focus. Because if she knew Ethan, it wasn't done yet, and neither was the sword. The Cathari mothership floated like a dark mountain in the sky, huge, cold, and silent. Inside, alarms started flashing. Ethan stood in the hallway, broken chains hanging from his wrists. Smoke rose behind him. 2 guards lay unconscious on the floor. His face was bruised. His breathing was heavy. But his eyes were full of fire. The green light on his wrists blinked faster now. Defender mode. Active. The ancient human tech hidden in the blade of Kar had awakened fully. And now it was moving through him. He wasn't just holding a weapon anymore. He had become one. In the control room, Cathari commander watched Ethan's path through the ship with wide, angry eyes. This human, how is he still alive? Another Cathari officer stepped forward. He is merged with the blade's command code. He controls the weapon's energy directly. Then kill him. The commander shouted, but no one answered because the door behind them burst open, and Ethan walked in. Energy swirled around him like wind and lightning. In his hand, the blade of Kar glowed brighter than ever before. You took her, Ethan said. Now I'm taking her back. In the holding bay, Kailari struggled inside her energy chamber. She felt weak, trapped until the lights began to flicker. And then, silence. The shield dropped. Ethan stood at the door. Her heart skipped. You came for me, she whispered. He smiled. I always would. She ran to him, but paused when she saw the sword. It wasn't just glowing. It was shining through him. Kailari touched his face. You've changed. No, Ethan said softly. I just finally became who the blade believed I was. Together, they ran through the ship as the alarms screamed. Cathari guards fell one by one. The blade guided Ethan's hands. Kailari fought beside him, proud and fierce. They reached the ship's core, the engine heart. That's when Toran appeared, burned, bleeding, still alive. He raised a stolen energy blade. I won't let you leave. You stole everything from me. Ethan didn't raise his sword. He just said, you did this to yourself. Toran charged. Kailari stepped in front of Ethan and disarmed Toran with one strike. She looked into Toran's eyes. It's cold and calm. You never wanted me, she said. You wanted power. Toran fell to his knees. Defeated. The war was over. Back on Lyra 9, the skies cleared for the first time in weeks. The Cathari had fled. The mothership, now disabled, burned slowly in the upper atmosphere. Kailari stood. On a tall hill, her people behind her, Ethan stood beside her, the blade across his back. She turned to him, voice soft. You came here by accident? And now you've changed everything. He smiled. I came here to fix satellites. Instead, I fixed a future. She held his hand. What now? He looked at the horizon. Now we rebuild, together. Clan began to chant behind them. For the blade. For the bond. For the human who became a legend. And as the sun rose, Ethan finally understood the sword had not chosen him to be a warrior. It had chosen him to be hope.